Welcome everybody to another episode of the Listener Ghost Stories. My name is Paul Doski, and joining us is two lovely ladies that had their own experiences one night on Emily's Bridge. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let the guests start talking. So without further ado, let's get them introduced to you all before we go diving into the experience of what happened that fateful night of Emily's Bridge. So with us, we have Joe and Ashley Martel, and they both, um, I guess, went to Emily's Bridge last night, and they sound like they had a blast. So, Joe, I guess let's start with you. Let's
Okay.
let's figure out who are you, Joe. So, like what got you into the paranormal, and what led you to go to Emily's Bridge?
What got me into the paranormal was a lot of life experiences. When I was young, our house was haunted. My mom would hear footsteps going up her stairs, heavy footsteps, and thought it was my father, but it actually wasn't. It was happening frequent, so they had the house blessed. So I was told that, and then that piqued up my interest. And then I don't know, just many things. I was watching shows, and it was like interesting hearing about ghosts and stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much how I got started. I love watching paranormal stuff. Anyway, so the account at the bridge, how that happened was where I used to work. A bunch of people were talking about Emily's Bridge. I'm like, Emily's Bridge? What's Emily's Bridge? And they were telling me, oh, it's a famous haunted bridge in Stowe. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So what's going on with that? And they said, oh, we're going to go investigate. I go, oh, really? Because, paranormal junkie me. And so that's what led me to say, hey, can I come along? And the woman I worked with said, yeah, why don't you come along with me? And so I got my daughter to come with me, Ashley. And we took a ride and got lost. Right, Ash?
Yeah, that was silly. I remember we stopped at a snack bar because it was the only place we could get cell reception to call them to find out where the heck we were and where the bridge was. It was a whole thing.
Yeah, it was in the middle of the night. Because we were meeting late at night. So it was like, it was dark, and I'm really bad with directions, so that didn't help. And we ended up meeting at a Cumberland Farms. And then we followed them through the Smuggler's Notch. And I think it was scarier going through the notch than it was going to Emily's Bridge. But it was really weird because when we got there, I thought, what a tiny little bridge. It's like, this is haunted, is what came to my mind. I don't know about you, Ash.
I never really thought about a bridge being haunted. So it was surprising. But, I mean, it is.
But yeah, and it was funny because at first I looked at it, I'm like, oh, it's so tiny. And then we got out, and there were some people there already. Remember the group of kids that had their like candles lit up, and they saw us and started packing up?
Yeah, I know it's a common thing that kids like to, they've historically like to have little seances on the bridge, and I think that has brought other things other than Emily onto the bridge, which we'll get into later, but
yes, exactly.
I know they ended up running off when we got there.
Yeah, they did. And we were with a big group of people, and it was funny, too, because they were horsing around on the bridge, the people we came with. They had a recording. Remember that, Ash? That recording that they were playing as a joke?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was kind of stupid. And right when that happened, me and Ashley and the woman I was with and her daughter, we heard a big bang on the top of the roof of the bridge. Remember that, Ash?
Oh, yeah, that was crashing.
That was it was so loud and so amplified, it made us all jump and stop. I don't know if, Paul, you want to get into this at all?
Well,
one of many experiences.
But this is the first experience that we had on. It was that loud crack, and it wasn't, how sometimes when like wood settles, it makes like a crack? It was like amplified, like somebody threw something, but we looked, In fact, that was the first thing we did is we looked to see if somebody threw a rock, a big rock, which it was impossible because you've been at the bridge, Paul. It's a long distance to the shore, to the side of the river, to the bridge. And this is like the part. This is like the part where where the dirt pit is.
Off to the side,
it was on that side, in that corner, and we could not figure out. And it was only one time that happened. It was only when they were horsing around on the bridge. All of a sudden, a big crack, and it just everybody just jumped and got quiet. That was weird.
That already sounds weird.
It was really weird.
Just real quick, did you ever figure out what it was? Like, did you ever see anything, find anything?
No, we couldn't find anything. We didn't understand. It only happened the one time, and it was just so loud that we were just in shock. And I remember
it was a bad experience. I know I've seen things the other time we went, because we've been there twice.
3 times.
3 times?
3 times.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, 3 times. I remember one time we dragged Caitlin along, too.
That's true.
So,
unfortunately, she's not here, but she saw things, too.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. She actually saw an apparition in the bridge.
She was terrified.
She says, that man doesn't like us being here. I go, what man? She says, that man in the corner, he does not like us being here. And that was a weird experience, because that was the night that we sat on the bridge. You shouldn't sit on the bridge because it's an active bridge. Just putting it out there to the public. The police do come, and they actually ask you, what are you doing on the bridge in the middle of the night? But what happened was we were sitting on the bridge. I don't know if Ashley, you remember that. And we were just kind of sitting. And then Ashley and Caitlin were in the backside of the bridge. And all of a sudden, a little jagged rock bounced 3 times, and it landed right in front of Caitlin.
Oh, yep.
and then we didn't think
and there was nothing on that side of the bridge.
There was nothing. We thought it was a little kid at first, but he was sleeping in the car because there was a little kid that came with us, but he was tired and fell asleep. And then when Caitlin got nervous, and she says, the man really is mad at us. And then all of a sudden, another little jagged rock bounced 3 times right in front of Caitlin again. And it happened 3 times, another little jagged rock bouncing right in front of Caitlin. I can't explain that. I don't even know where that rock came from. Those 3 different rocks came to her, right next to her.
And I know between those 2 experiences, the feeling on the bridge was very different. Like, it felt a little more peaceful the first time we'd gone there, but that time it felt really heavy and kind of unsettling.
Yeah, I remember that. And I remember you saying, too, Ash, that your neck felt heavy and your legs felt heavy. And me, it was just my legs. Like we were walking.
I know that's a feeling I get, often when, in a haunted location. I can, my body can feel that there's something there. So that's not uncommon. But, the feeling will change between, if it feels more malicious than other times,
Yep. I do know that.
It feels heavier when it's not friendly.
Yeah, you almost get that dread feel on you, like I really should not be here. I should just leave. But you try to tell yourself, but I want to stay just to see what happened. But then, if you get rocks or something thrown at you, maybe that's a sign of a poltergeist or something, or maybe that could be some sort of, I'm not trying to make be oh, this is this thing, but maybe, we also hear at times there's Sasquatches that can throw rocks and they don't tend to hit you, but, they have pretty good aim. But, I mean, in this case, I know this bridge that you really well, and since I went there again, it even still felt like the middle of the bridge was colder than just being outside either way of the bridge. But, I mean, but I guess what I'm trying to say is even though this is going on, it's what do you do? Where's it coming from? What is that sound? And I know sometimes, people will try to see if they can recreate the sound. Did you two
Mhm.
or you three ever try to recreate the sound?
It was kind of hard to recreate the banging on top of a roof because it was so. It sounded like wood cracking, and it was like
Yeah, and
really,
any
really
rocks that
loud.
were big enough to really make that noise would have been down in the river, and they're pretty big. So, like, we couldn't throw that up onto the roof.
Yeah, there's no way. And it was just that one time. It's only when people got like really like rude and making fun. That's when it happened because they were making fun of the ghost. Is what they were doing with their
Mm.
recorder. They had like a recording that they made. It was supposed to be funny, which I didn't think was very funny because I like to be respectful to spirits. But they were like horsing around, and we never went back with them again. We went alone with the woman that I friend with, and with Ashley, her friend, and her daughter, the other one's daughter, and it was a smaller group. So we had a different experience when we were with the smaller group. Like, and I actually,
I feel like a lot more happened in the smaller groups.
yes, it did. Especially like, remember the Dark Shadow, Ash?
That's
Like
annoying.
so,
So there was one of the less crowded nights that we were on the bridge, and I had been handed the recorder at that moment, so like I was
yeah.
trying to catch just kind of looking around, just in case something would come up, and all of a sudden I saw like kind of a dark mass down by my feet, like it was pretty large, like not bigger than a large dog or anything like that. And before I could really process the fact that it was happening and move the camera, it darted away. Like,
And then
I don't even know
Natalie
how to
Fargo.
explain it. Like, one of my biggest regrets is not being able to get that on film.
I know. I was like, Ashley, you didn't capture that. That's okay.
There was like nothing else around to like really recreate that. Like, there were no animals. There was no like children that were that size. There was nobody around me at the time. I think they were at the other end of the bridge.
And the thing is, my friend Natalie. Well, I was talking at that time too. I was saying something, and I remember Natalie saying to me, my friend, she's like, Joe, a dark shadow just went over your head. Remember that, Ash? And she caught it on,
right.
And she caught it on film, but she never showed it to me. And unfortunately, I told you she passed away. And I really wish I would have been able to see that film because she caught it. And I'm like, oh. But yeah, that happened. And seeing your breath, we did see our breath one night on the bridge. I remember that. But also that night, I remember feeling a cold breeze on my neck. Natalie's sister was behind. I thought she was behind me, and it felt like somebody was blowing on my neck. And I looked, and there was nobody around. It wasn't a windy night.
Oh, is that the night that we heard a man?
Oh, yes. How about that? That was weird. So
I can't remember if it was a sigh or a grunt, but I know we were walking away from the bridge because we were finishing our investigation for the night, and we just heard something that felt like it was right behind our heads. Like, it sounded like a man, and we didn't have a man with us.
Yeah, well, the thing was, we were just standing there staring at the bridge, and I hear, oh, like that. And Natalie looks at me, and she goes, oh my God, Joe, did you hear that? And I looked like, oh my God, what did you hear?
Like, all of us in the group were just like, what just happened? Like, and we were looking around just to see if it was somebody nearby, but, like, there was nobody that close to us.
And there
was definitely no men.
There was no men. It was just women. It was just women that night. So that's why we figured that there was not just a woman supposedly haunting that bridge. There definitely is a man, because with Caitlin seeing that apparition, the dark shadow did not seem very feminine. That felt evil being around.
It felt unpleasant.
Yeah, because I remember when Natalie had said that, I didn't feel comfortable, and I was right around the specific rafter, and I always wondered if the real story was that she hung herself, because it feels like that was more of the story than going in a river. but I don't know.
I know there's a few stories going around, so it's really hard to pinpoint what could be the truth.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I mean, I know that the person that we were with did claim that she caught, like, the image of, like, a noose or something on the bridge at one point.
Yes, that's right.
But we never saw that either.
No, but I remember you mentioning that. Yeah. But and Paul mentioned about scratches happening on the bridge. It was on the video that I watched of your video that you were in, and I remember seeing that. And I'm like, well, we never got scratched. I think Natalie was hoping we get scratched, but we never did. But I remember that somebody else that worked in another department at the store I worked at, she mentioned she went with her boyfriend to the bridge. They drove on it, went past it a little bit, parked the truck just outside of the bridge, and they were saying some things. I don't know what they were saying, but I think they pissed off whatever it was, and they were told, get out, clearly. She says it was so clear, all they heard was get out, and they ran to the truck, got in the truck. The boyfriend couldn't start it. It would not start. Truck got scratched. He got out. She went into the place of where he would sit for driving, and that's when the truck started up and they left. It would not start with him, but it would start for her. And I'm like, I remember that. Yeah, that was freaking weird. When she told me that, I'm like, wow, I missed that one.
Real quick, that voice that said "get out," was it a female or a male voice that said
male.
"get out"? It was a male.
Yep. They said it was clear it was a male. And when we went, we felt more of a male presence than female. I think there is a female presence, but that male was more dominant those times that we went. And it felt it was stronger each time. And I don't know if it's something that the kids did. That's what made me wonder. I saw those kids doing some kind of seance. Did they conjure something that we don't know about? You know?
Well, I know there's a story about kids using the Ouija board on their seances. So, I mean...
We saw it. We saw kids doing that. Before we went on the bridge, at the beginning, we were saying that...
Right, you did say that. Yeah. But, I mean, it makes me wonder, like, the kid that you saw, did they close out the Ouija board like you're supposed to? Or did they just, like, walk off and not even close it?
There could be a portal on the bridge that's still open for all we know.
Exactly.
I heard that there was a psychic that's been on that bridge that said that there's a portal that opens on certain nights. I don't know if it's full moon, but there is a portal on that bridge. That's what they were saying. I don't know if that's fact, though. That's just, what I heard. But I know from what we experienced, which is not the only experience we had on there, because I even had one time that I had gone, I had my camera in my hand, and sitting on the edge, where there's like a board on the edge of the bridge. It's really low, and I just need to sit in the group a little bit. Like, that was the night that I told you I got blown on the neck, and I sat there, and all of a sudden I feel my hand get hit, but there's nobody by me, and my camera flew out of my hand and took a picture of my feet. And I go, really? What just happened?
I forgot about that, yeah.
I go there and I showed her the picture. I go, I took a picture of my feet. How's that? Oh, I tell you. Well, at least they're comical when we go ghost hunting.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it is having fun. You have to enjoy yourself to be ghost hunting properly.
And another time we went with the camera. Remember the battery drained, Ash?
I feel like that happened a couple times.
Yeah, it did.
I know my snap and shoot camera would usually end up dying.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a way for them to, get powered up for taking the batteries of either, us or off of us or like our electronical devices so they can, manifest themselves somehow, whether it be, actually seeing an apparition or scratch marks or something getting thrown. So, I mean, maybe that's what it was. They were just trying to drain battery life enough so that, it could show itself somehow. And I'm assuming And I'm assuming, like, when this has happened, you guys had to have had something happen right afterward, whether it be like a dark shadow, you guys
Oh,
felt like you were touched or pulled or something. There had to have been something after this.
but
Mhm.
actually something did happen. Remember, Ashley, the wind? I was on the bridge talking to Emily, and I had asked her, are you sad you're having to wander this bridge? Does it make you angry? Each time I asked a question, I asked 3 questions. Each time a gust of wind came through the tunnel. It was a calm night. There was no reason for any wind. And I didn't notice it until Ashley brought it up to me. Because we were going through the questions. She said, you notice that every time you asked a question, which was 3 times, the wind gusted through. And it stopped. It just dead stopped. It was still after. That was
Yeah, because you know how like those summer nights in Vermont, like sometimes like there's not really any wind, and that was one of those nights.
Yeah. Yes, and we don't know where that wind came from. It just gusted right through, right past us. Only when I spoke.
No, I get it. I mean, Joe, you saw that video. So again, I
Yes.
remember us when it was me and two other friends of mine. I was filming on the bridge with the camcorder, and as we're talking about something or being stupid, I'm like, oh my God, I can see my breath. Because all of a sudden,
Yeah.
just like that, it was like a gust of wind or something came in, and that was it. Like, it's like, why are we
Yeah.
seeing our breath? So then our friend Dan pulled out his phone to turn on the Weather Channel app, and it was telling us it was 61 degrees during the full moon night that we went. So
Yeah,
it
you
was
showed it
like,
to me. I saw that
yeah,
you showed it on your video.
yeah, because I
And it
wanted
was
to
61
document it.
degrees. Yeah, yeah. That was
Yeah,
cool, by
Yeah,
the
and I
way.
mean, every time we went, it was on a warm summer night, so like seeing our breath was really unusual.
Yeah, that was really weird. It was just odd because it was such a warm night, and then all of a sudden it's like really, like, where did this come from? It's so cold air. Like, oh, I can't think of anything else. Can you, Ash? I'm trying to think.
Um,
So many weird things happened. I can't remember everything.
well, real quick, to touch on the
Yeah.
seeing our breath. So I just want to put this on the record, just in case I
Mhm.
never did on one of the other episodes. So I just looked it up because I was kind of curious. So according to my Google search, what temperature does it have to be in order to see our breath? It has to be below 45 degrees in order to see your breath.
Wow. That's
So,
crazy.
so once again, that just goes to show 61 degrees, I was seeing my breath. That's like, uh,
Yeah.
like a 21 degree difference, if not more, because I couldn't tell how cold it was that night.
You know what I was really amazed by your video is that woman that you were with that got scratched, which is unusual because that's not how the story goes. Usually they say
Exactly.
it's the men. They say the men is always the one that get targeted because she's angry at men because they remind her of her jilted lover. So I thought it was kind of odd that she would get scratched and you guys did not.
I did.
Yeah, that's right, you did, but the other guy didn't, right?
No, no, he's the only one that did not get scratched, but I kind of asked for it. When our friend Kelly got sort of scratched, like I say sort of, is because you can see something was trying to dig at her leg, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't as deep as my marks were. But that was because, just like you just said, that's so weird because normally scratches only happen on males. So that's
Yeah.
when I kind of got upset because I was just like, you know what? What did she do? So at this point in time, I was kind of provoking, but I was just like, "What are you gonna do? You gonna scratch me? You think you're big and tough? So come on, scratch me!" Like, what does she do? And next thing I know, I got scratched. But the weird thing about me getting scratched is I could not feel it until I actually got home.
Wow. So I mean, how did you feel like physically other than, like you said you couldn't feel pain, but I mean, did you feel like you were
I see where you're going.
Yeah, like, did you have a sensation of some kind? Like you
brushed up against something like a plant.
I did not.
Yeah.
That was one thing everybody says. I said, you must have brushed up something on the bridge. I perfectly did not lean on the bridge just for that reason. I did not lean up on it. I didn't do anything. If I had to lean back for a minute, I walked out of the bridge and I went to my friend's vehicle just so I could, stretch out for a minute or sit down in the car or something. But that was it. Otherwise, I never leaned back on the bridge. But,
well, that's not where I was going with this. I was going with, like, when a spirit gets invasive, like, does it, like, affect your soul? You know? Does it, like, make you feel violated?
I wouldn't say I always felt violated. I just felt like, just like, I guess I was more like annoyed that she was getting scratched for no reason. Like I had no idea why she ended up getting like that little white scratch, whatever happened, feeling, because she did say her leg was burning. So it makes me wonder if she, instead of getting scratched, and this happened almost 11 years ago on July 3rd. But
does she think that she was getting warned?
So I almost wonder if it was just one of those weird attempts of trying to get touch, but for some reason the touch felt like it was a burn mark per se, like it was an evil entity that had that ability to make it feel like by touching it was burning, which you kind of hear that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds valid, because that's something it just makes me wonder, like, why do these things actually happen? And why does it not happen to everyone, these experiences, but it happens, to people like us?
I feel like they probably know who's more sensitive and who might be receptive to them.
Oh, they definitely do.
Or in some cases, they are angry at somebody.
Well, provoking does not help. That's for sure. But
watching enough Ghost Hunter shows, not to provoke unless you're Zach Bagans.
The only way I provoke is I'm really trying to document something, but that's it. So in this case, it was me trying to provoke because of the stories of, males are supposed to get scratched. So of course I was like, why did you scratch hers? In that case, scratch me. Let's see your big and bad bones, and next thing you know, I got scratched not once, but twice. But so the image, I don't think that you saw, Joe, on that video showed all of it. But I literally got scratched like somebody, like think of like cats, like when they go and use like a cat scratcher. You know how their paws, one is a little bit higher than the other paw, and then they rake down. That's basically how what my scratcher looked like on my back.
Was there 3 scratches?
It was 4.
Well, okay. I was wondering, because a lot of the times if it's 3 scratches, they say it's demonic or something, or
correct,
evil. Yeah, that's because they say in 3s, things happen in 3s. You gotta be careful.
Yeah, it was not 3.
3 jagged rocks, 3 times the wind blows. Gee, you think I would have thought of those things like that?
Right.
Everything's in 3s. Oh, that reminds me of another experience on there. So, do you remember, Ashley, when Natalie brought her brother-in-law?
Yes.
And she wanted him to come because she wanted to see if the room.
Yeah, because we wanted to see if that was like. Yeah, we wanted to see if there would be a reaction because he's a man.
Yeah, she didn't tell him. She just said, "Go on the bridge."
Oh,
she
nice.
didn't want to tell. Yes, she was. I'm using him as a guinea pig. He doesn't know it yet. He didn't get scratched though, but she told me take pictures. So I was taking pictures, and one picture I caught, it was an unusual orb. It wasn't circular. It was kind of oval a little bit, huh, Ash?
Mm-hmm.
I think I should. Yeah, and if you look carefully at it, because I pulled it up on my computer at the time, and it had a woman's face on there But my mom noticed that there was it looked like she was holding a baby. Yeah. She could see it in the orb. And it was not like a white orb, it was colored. It had like fleshy color. It was really weird. I've never seen anything like it. Because all the other orbs that we had on the bridge, you pull it up, you could see wings and stuff because it's bugs. But that was one that stood out. I wish I could find that picture. Man, it bugs me. I think I might have it around somewhere. If I do, I promise you I will send it to you.
That's
But
great.
it was just so unusual. It wasn't like perfectly round. I was so excited that I caught that.
Yeah, because when it's dust, it's definitely round.
Yeah, and the thing
and that was not.
It was the only time I caught anything like that, and it was when her brother-in-law was on the bridge, and I was taking pictures of him, and it was right around him. Yeah, but nothing happened to him. Too bad, because we were hoping.
Probably because he didn't. Did he not interact with the spirit at all? Did he just kind of just walk on the bridge, kind of like casually walking, not saying anything? Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, because he didn't know he was being a guinea pig. In fact, she was yelling out. She says, "Hey, get Jim!" Awful. That's awful. But anyways, I just remember that. I just remember that. That's all.
Too bad they didn't say anything else. Like, when you go on that bridge, make sure you say like "Hi, hello," and then just keep walking or something, or be like, "Hey, what's going on today?"
Right? I know, right? But he didn't do that. I remember this was back in 2007. Ghost Hunters was a real long time, and her and I, and Ash was like my paranormal junkie buddy, at least at the time. We used to watch a lot of it. So we all had, something in common. That's why we decided to do this together. But, yeah, you kind of learn things. Like, for one thing, always have an extra battery.
Oh, yes.
This is true.
Backup battery.
And always keep it in the car away from you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't even think we even had a flashlight. We were just so not prepared for that. Today would be so different.
Well, I mean, when your eyes adjust to the dark, then you can see fairly well.
Yeah, and there's also lights there too. I don't know, Paul, if you noticed that there's street lights around.
When we went, there was not any street lights on. There was literally just the moonlight and the headlight of the car that we used.
We had traffic.
I think there was one traffic.
One car. Well, it was 1:30 in the morning, and the car actually passed through. We forgot it was an active bridge.
Yeah.
And they waved at us.
Always fun squishing up against the side of the bridge to let the car go through.
Yeah, and the cops coming through too. What are you guys doing here?
Luckily, we didn't have any cop that night when we were there, so.
We did every single time. Our friend actually went to the town to tell them that we were going to be there, but they still drove through around 1 o'clock in the morning. And they're like, what are you folks doing here? Don't make too much noise. So remember, if anybody's listening to this podcast, when you go to Emily's Bridge, be respectful. If a cop comes by, just tell them that you'll be quiet and you're paranormal investigating. They'll be cool with it. They don't care about that part. Although, did you notice, Paul, that the last time you went that there's a municipality thing over by the dirt pit that you can't park there between certain hours?
There was no sign that said that.
Well, they do. They do now. It says per municipality, you're not allowed to park there.
That's so weird because I just went this past Sunday and I didn't see any signs.
Did they
they may have taken it down then.
Well, it's good because the last time we went, which is was it a few years ago, they actually had a little sign, a town sign that said that per selectman, there's no parking between the hours of 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. Right in the little dirt pit before the bridge. So they took it down finally. Because they realized people want to go see this bridge.
Well, I know for a while, Stowe, the town Stowe did try to find people that were going to that bridge because of the fact that they were too noisy and rowdy and keeping the neighbors up at night. So, but from what I heard when I was asking somebody how much the fine was, it was only a $25 fine. So what is that like? What kind of fine is that?
That's true.
Yeah, it's not much of a deterrent.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I said it to my friend the other time too. I said $25 for the fine. I mean, I'd go there just to get fined for $25. Like it would be worth it to me. Like whatever.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean,
if we were
It's like
talking
paying for a
250,
natural attraction anywhere else.
I mean, that's how much gas probably was to fill up the car back in the day, anyway. So,
yeah, I know,
Exactly.
right?
yeah. But okay, so just to wrap it up then, so is that pretty much everything that you guys remember? Is there anything else that you feel you need to mention before I move on to the next question?
No,
I don't think I have
that's-
anything.
Yeah,
So-
neither.
So I guess this can go for both of you ladies. So Ashley, we'll start with you. You know, you've kind of been quiet. Let's give your mother a break for a minute. So what is one of your favorite spooky tales within Vermont?
Oh goodness. I don't know a ton of them. Obviously, I know Emily's Bridge, and I learned the most about that one. I know that there was an old McDonald's. I don't remember what it is now. I think it's a tap house or something in Burlington that was haunted, and in the
That's in the
basement,
ghost store.
like
Yeah.
what?
From the ghost.
You probably
store.
remember it better than I do. I don't see. My thing is, my memory stinks.
That's the problem with getting older.
Yeah, see,
Joe.
a lot of the things I know that they're haunted. I just don't always know the story behind them. Like I know the Dutton House and the Shelburne Museum is haunted, and I've actually had an experience there in the middle of the day.
We both did. Yeah, both of us did. We both.
Because I remember going up to the second floor of that building, and when we got there, like all the beds were neatly made because they're like behind a barrier, and you don't go past that. And then like I walked over to one of the other rooms, and then when I went to turn back to the first room I saw, the bed was all disheveled, like somebody had been sitting on it. But we were the only ones in the house and up in the top floor at the time.
Yeah, just me and you. Dad and Jonathan were downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I asked the person downstairs if it was haunted because it felt heavy going up the stairs. I don't know about you, Ashley, but my legs felt heavy going up
definitely.
the stairs. And it felt like we were being watched. Like somebody was watching us. And it's funny that we went around, and then when we came back through, all the beds were disheveled, like she said. It was impressions of somebody sitting on each bed. And it's like, how is that possible? And then the lady downstairs told us that sometimes the picture frame comes out of whack, too. And they have to keep straightening it out. So, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I don't know the story behind that, but it's definitely haunted. And it depends on the employee that you ask about it, because I feel like to some extent they don't want to believe it's haunted, or they don't want to encourage people to want to go ghost hunting in the museum and such like that.
Yeah, they don't want to ruin their reputation.
Mm-hmm. And you don't want damage done to an old house either.
You're right. Yeah, I agree with that. Joe, do you have a favorite story from Vermont besides Emily Bridge? Is there another one that you like?
There was a murder, I guess, over at Maple Street Park in Essex Junction. I don't know what year it happened. I only heard bits of this story, but apparently these young girls are being followed in the woods over by the park, and one of them was murdered. And me and my husband actually went to the park because we wanted to test the theory if she still haunts that place. And so we brought our K2 meter because we got one now. And this was just a few years back. And I told my husband, I said, maybe we could see if we can contact this spirit. And I didn't know the name. I think I found out the name at the time, but I can't remember now. But anyways, I remember asking her if she was following us, and my husband said his hand was getting so cold, and it felt like something was gripping his hand. And I think she was like attached to him, like wanting to walk with him. He wasn't scared or anything. He says it felt like a child holding on to his hand. And so and the funny part is in the woods, in that trail by the park, there was no sound of any bugs. It was like dead quiet, which is unusual because usually you hear a little everything's in the summertime. And there was just dead silence in that one spot. Like it was like a little stretch, dead silent. And then I told Perry, my husband, hey, tell the spirit to stay here. Don't follow us home because I don't want nothing following us home. And then he said all of a sudden the feeling just went away. The coldness went away. The hand feeling went away. So that was an experience that I had just local here in my home. I also heard some stories. Let's see. What did I hear stories? Oh, the Flynn. I would love to go to the Flynn sometime. They say that, I don't know if you heard of that story, Paul, about the Flynn, where they have like the guy that used to work in the Flynn, he was up in the rafters. And
yeah, like adjusting the lights.
Yeah, and he fell to his death. They say that they see his spirit floating around up there.
Mm-hmm. I know the story behind it is also that, like, he wants to protect people from meeting that same fate. At least that's what people like to believe.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that does sound familiar to me. But there's another place too that I like to watch people at a like a opera house or something. He like to watch the actors, and he like to watch the people setting the stage up for the fact of hopefully not meeting their doom like they did or something like that. So unless it's the same place, I mean, I don't know.
It's probably
I think I have heard of another place so you're probably right.
Oh, you know what another cool place would be to go? Is Glastonbury. Because they said a lot of paranormal stuff happens out there. From Bigfoot to people disappearing.
That's right.
They said a hiker actually went up there and never came back. They never found her. And then they found a man crushed in the rocks thinking that it may have been a Sasquatch. You must have heard that story in Glastonbury.
Oh, yes.
It's very paranormal up there. I would love to go up there just to see.
Yeah, they call that the Bennington Triangle, which was
dubbed
by that. Which they dubbed that by that was dubbed by Joseph Citro, actually.
I heard about that. I actually got a book on that.
Passing Strange.
I don't know.
I want to say The Passing Strange by Joseph Citro, I think, is where he talked about that.
I haven't saw it in that book. I have like a book like Haunted Vermont, and I've got other books of Vermont that I can't remember the name of it, but I have The Haunted Guide to Vermont. I have that, which has
the Vermont Ghost Guide, probably.
Yeah, I have that one.
Do you have the updated one or the original like small pocket one? Like you could literally shove it in your pocket.
I can't shove this one in my pocket. It's a little bit bigger. It's not super huge. It's only probably like a 5 by, I want to say 4 by 6. I don't know. Not very big. Small.
Yeah, it sounds like that small one. Does it have Emily's Bridge on the cover?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's that's the original one. Joseph Citro actually did an updated version of the Vermont Ghost Guide with his pal Robert Brunel Jr., which you can buy off of Amazon because it's been hard for them to get their books nowadays to get sold in local bookshops for some reason. Some bookshops are selling their books, but usually if you ask them about where to get their books, you're usually getting told to go on Amazon, unfortunately.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. 'Cause I got
Um,
mine at a bookstore. I like to go to bookstores. In fact, remember when they used to have Barnes and Noble here in Burlington? Is when we go get some ghost books, and of course they have not Barnes. Was it Barnes and Noble? No, it's
is it down by Church Street?
yeah. It
Crow
used to be
Books?
there. No, not there. Although that's a good one too. That one reminds me of Black Books, the comedy, the British comedy.
Hmm.
The little bookstore. It's a funny comedy. But
Well,
anyways,
yeah.
that's what it reminds me of. They have some really good old books in there, but there was another place that they used to have. I can't remember the name anymore, but they closed it because they do.
Oh, yeah.
But
They usually do.
yeah,
Um,
and sometimes if you go to different states and stuff, like when I go to Maine, if I go
mhm.
somewhere to like a little shop, I'll find like some haunted books even from there because I like watching and reading about hauntings and stuff. So.
Oh, yeah. I was just
Oh,
looking up
and
stuff for Maine. I was just like, I want to know what's going on in Maine.
a lot goes on in Maine.
Oh, yes.
There's
Especially at the White Houses.
the lighthouses, and also there's a haunted road out there too.
I heard about
I
that.
thought, yeah. If you go on the hilltop, there's a spirit that walks that road that lights up. I can't remember the whole thing. I have it in my book. I have to look it up again.
Yeah, when
I
you
guess it's
look it
another
up,
conversation sometime.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to send it my way on that note too, because I'm kind of curious now of whatever road this is. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of books. I can always send you a picture of the books that I have from Vermont and stuff like that. But
Well,
uh,
I have Theo Lewis's books too, because Theo Lewis, I used to love to go to the Queen City Ghost Walks because she tells great stories and she has a bunch of books. And so my husband kept buying me the books. I'm like, oh my god, these are great stories.
I actually had her on the podcast last year too.
Did you really? Because she signed my book over at Costco once. Like, oh, so cool. Yeah, and she's really nice. She's really
Oh,
cool
she
to talk
really
to.
is. Oh yes.
She's very chill. I love
Yeah, I
how
would.
she dresses up for a Queen City Ghost Walk. Cause she puts the black veil on. She has her lantern, and she's amazing.
Yeah,
She gets into the moment.
she's basically representing the the atmosphere, I guess. I don't even know the right term that I want to use, but yeah, like eventually I would love to get her back on because I feel like we could have talked for probably another hour than what we were able to. So, but yeah, I know she's coming out with a new book. So shout out to Cia Lewis real quick. She's gonna be coming out with a new true crimes book again. I believe she said something like September 25th this year.
Oh,
So stay
great.
tuned for that. Um,
That sounds great.
yeah, so real quick, Ashley, I know your mother's been kind of throwing locations out of where she would like to go. Is there any location that's come to your mind that you would love to go and investigate?
Uh, yeah, that's tough. I don't have any on the top of my head.
Well, you did get to go to Alcatraz. What was that like?
Oh, that was awesome. It felt very weird. It was kind of unsettling. Nothing really happened there, but I have been to Alcatraz. I took a lot of
Yeah.
pictures just to see if I could catch anything.
That's my
There you
girl.
go.
I think that's
See,
great.
there's plenty of places I've been. I just don't know of places that I haven't been that I would want to go to yet.
Okay, well, let me rephrase.
I've been
Let me
a lot of
reword it.
practice on the ghost hunting.
Oh, I have been too. But so let me reword that. If you could reinvestigate a place, what would you choose?
I don't know. Like, even though I know that I couldn't, I would really like to know more about the Dutton house and, like, be able to explore it, like, at night.
Yeah. DVTs at night.
Like, I don't know if there's any information on, like, who could have died there and what's keeping them there. But, like, That was just a really neat place.
It's a shame that we can't really do much with that place anymore. But I know there's a video floating around about the Dutton house somewhere. I think I might even have one. So I'll have to send it to your mother, so she can send it to you.
I also have an interest in just abandoned towns and such. I know there's a few of them in Vermont. I went to one near Danville. It was pretty cool, just walking around and learning its history. I don't know if it's haunted. I couldn't find anything about that, though.
I just thought of a place that would be cool to go. Devil's Bowl, where the pig man is. The Devil's Bowl.
Oh, yeah, I have heard of that one.
That's over in, where is it?
Northfield.
Northfield, yeah. Yeah, that would be a place to investigate at night.
Just don't get caught.
By the pigman?
Yeah, by the pigman.
I don't know if I want to take my chances on that one.
I don't know if I'd want to either.
I know.
But all right, ladies. I don't want to keep you anymore. I think just hour-long chat or so is about right to just say I think we're done here. But I mean, thank you so much for your time, ladies. Joe, Ashley, it was a pleasure. If you guys ever think of any other experiences as well, feel free to reach out again if you'd like to talk and share some more.
Oh, that would be great.
Thank you for having us on your podcast.
Oh, you're very welcome. And for the listeners, and for the listeners out there, if you have a story to tell, please reach out to me because I would love to hear it. I'd like to collect more stories and experiences, just like Joe and Ashley here. They were nice enough to come on, even though they were nervous at first. But you know what? Why not? I mean, as Joe puts it, we're a bunch of paranormal junkies, so why not just talk all paranormal? I mean, why not? But until that, it really is. And until next time, be careful because keep your eyes open because you just never know if an apparition will appear in front of you.